Right, before we get into this video, I need to do a bit of a backstory. So I've already started the video, but I haven't got the backstory. So anybody watching this or watching my channel for the first time won't know really what's been going on. My Volkswagen Golf 2015 Mark 6 Cabriolet. It's always been spot on starting, apart from until around 3 months ago. It randomly, you'd turn the key, it wouldn't start. Take the key out, turn it, it would fire up. It would struggle. There'd be like, and then it'd go. It would never happen first thing in the morning. So I was like, it's not the battery. It's been sat for 12 hours. It's not that. Could it be the ignition switch? Could it be the starter solenoid? Loads of different things. Could it be? But all of the things suggested to me would make me think that it wouldn't start at all. Not random. I could go all day and it'd be fine. And then I'd go to start the car, come out of a client's house, start the car, wouldn't start. Take the key out, put it back in, and it would go. Visited 3 different mechanics. All of them were like, well, you've got no fault codes, so we've got nothing to go on, which is understandable. Yeah, there's no fault codes. What they look for is random. It's not always there. So I just carried on driving the car, hoping, in a way, that it would eventually just stop, not work, so it could be properly diagnosed. That hasn't happened. It's just carried on, plodding on. I'll start when I want to start. I won't start when I don't want to start. But I will always start in the end. So we'll get into the video. Right, back with another video. Now, a few videos back, I've had an issue with my car randomly not starting. Yeah, I went out and bought a crank sensor because I thought, looking at live data, it was the crank sensor. Not convinced that it is. So the crank sensor's gone on the sidelines. Now, the other day, my dash started going weird. I started the car and I had every bulb warning error that there could be. Reverse, fog, main beam, dip beam, the works. Let me just step back a little bit. I haven't had the issue for a couple of weeks, but I know why I haven't had the issue. Like, when you put a key in an ignition, you turn the key, it goes. It's sort of, it's memory. What is that they call it? Muscle memory or something? So I'm putting my key in the ignition, turning it, releasing it, and the car doesn't start. It'll just go, If I hold that key longer, it's starting. So you sort of see sort of a pattern here. It's a battery issue. Now, I went and had my battery checked, but all he did was check at the alternator to see if it was charging and how it was under ignition. I don't think he realised that I have a stop-start battery in this car. Fair enough, people make mistakes. So I just carried on. So like I said, I've had a few warning codes. So when I had the whole list of different bulbs, I ran Chorister, and at the very bottom it said voltage lower limit reached or something along those lines. So I was like, well, it's got to be the battery. So I then went off and had the battery tested again with a topped-on machine, and it instantly flashed up, replace. State of charge, 98%. State of health, 25%. 680 amp battery, holding 370 amps. I'll put a picture in just here. So, I've got a crank sensor at home, don't need it. I even went out and brought a bore scope so that I could see where the screw is to get onto the crank sensor to get it undone. But I'm pretty sure it's not the crank sensor, because you look at the live data and it's just on that initial startup, you turn the key and it goes dut, 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 and dies off. Hold the key longer and it will fire. Now, my battery I've discovered in my car is 11 years old. It's a Varta battery, so it's the original battery in this car. So I've been out and I've brought a new battery. Now, first of all, I did buy a Varta battery. Very limited around where I live for where you can buy batteries. Looked online, and yeah, you can have them posted to you, not to Northern Ireland. Not the companies I looked at anyway. They were like, no, we're not posting to you, which is fair enough. So very limited on batteries where I live. So like I said, I brought a Varta one and got in the car, drove off, and then you get little plastic covers over the nubs that your battery cables connect to, whatever it's called, can't think. Lifted up the cover, and this battery had been scored around the posts. So I took it back to them, and they were like, well, it's been on the shelf for ages, it can't have been. And then I checked the date on it, and it's actually a 2-year-old battery already. So what I have brought is an Exide EFB, so enhanced flooded battery, 70 amp hours, 760, and we've got the tools down there, and we've got the top-down scanner so that I can code it to the car, and we'll get it installed, and we will see if I'm right. This battery cost me £123, which I think is a really good price for a stop-start battery. Yes, I could use Carista to code the battery, but when I went onto the list of battery manufacturers, Exide wasn't listed on there, so I could just put it in under non-branded. But when I went onto the top-down scanner, Exide is listed. Exide is a good battery. It's not as good as Varta, but they are a good battery, and if they're listed on top-down as one of their main batteries, then we can't go too wrong. So yeah, we'll get the battery installed and code it to the car, and we'll see if we've got any improvement. Right, so before we install the battery, diesel engines and petrol engines work completely different. Petrol engine, you turn the key, sends a spark down the HT lead to the spark plug ignites the fuel, that gets the compression going. With a diesel engine, there is no spark. You got glow plugs which heat up the air in the chamber and then ignite the fuel. No, they don't ignite the fuel, it works under compression. So it heats it up, and then under compression the diesel explodes, making compression. Now, when a battery's running low on a diesel engine, that battery needs to do a full cycle of compression so that they're all start moving. So if the battery is weak, it hasn't got enough power to do that cycle. And if the engine is sat at a weird position where it's like, sometimes it takes less energy to start the engine depending on where the pistons are sitting. So having a weaker battery on what I assume is what is wrong with my situation is sometimes it won't fire because of where it is sitting. There's a lot of compression in there, so it takes a lot of power to push that compression. So by turning the key and it not starting, it is moving the engine a little bit, and then it gets to a point where it's easier to make that stroke to get it started. So that is my thinking with, I might be wrong. If I am wrong, then just let me know in the comments. But it needs to do a full cycle to get the engine going, which is why you can be driving. You can stall a diesel car, drop the clutch, lift it back up. As long as that engine's still moving, it will start again. Whereas if you stall a petrol car, you've got to turn that ignition again to send the spark. There might be some of you don't even realise that if you stall and you just whack the clutch, lift it back up, it will keep going, because it doesn't cut out immediately, whereas a petrol engine will cut out immediately. Right, we'll get on and get this battery installed. Right, so before we change this battery, we need some information off of it so that we can program it with the top-down scanner. So you need serial number, brand, amp hours, I think that's it. So I've got those written down on a piece of paper here. So I'm going to quickly remove this battery. You don't really change a battery. It's a 13mm bolt holding the battery clamp in place, 2 10mm, and just swap it over. So at the moment, old battery's there. I can sort out this cabling at last, because that should be on the inside of that box. We'll get it switched over and then I'll get back to you. Right, so that's the new battery in. So now we need to go into the car and we need to code this battery to the car. Started so much quicker. So we've got a couple of warning lights on the dash. It's fine. Tire pressure monitor, that's all ABS system. Turn the steering wheel. These lights should reset. Might have to go for a drive. Still got tire pressure. We'll sort that in a bit. Right, on to the top don. So we want maintenance. What's that saying? Decode failed. Oh, I've got to log into it all. Right, so I'm logged in. Is that record? That's not. Right, I'm logged in. So maintenance, battery. No, come on. Automatic. Okay. Why is this misbehaving? Just a second, I'll get back to you once this has stopped messing around. Right. Volkswagen. Automatic. Top one. Confirm. Hope you can see the screen okay. Cabriolet. And my engine code is CFCH. That's correct information. Just zoom you in a little bit. Establishing communication. Disconnect all connected battery chargers and turn the ignition switch. Yep, we're on. Battery regulation. So this is what it's currently, that's what the old battery was. So we need to change this. So the capacity is 70. Enter. Confirm. Manufacturer is, come on, settings, Exide, confirm, and serial number, settings, serial number C, that's a capital C. I don't think the serial number actually matters that much. C 32 M 477. confirm, done. Adaption successful. The new battery is different technologies to the old one. The coding must also be changed. I need to check something. Didn't ask for what battery type it was. That's strange. Anyway, just got that light on the dash. Started so much easier. And I'll get back to you in a day or two before I upload this video and see how I've got on. Right, so it's been a while now since I installed the new battery. Throughout the whole process with the issue with the car, there was nothing that was pointing out that it was the battery. Car, like I say, it started when it wanted to. It wouldn't start. Then it would start. There was no issue of it like clicking, like say, oh, battery's flat, click, click, click. But now, we just spin you round. Before, I was having to turn and hold the key. Ignition on. I can now turn this key and release it, and the engine is running. Just turn that off again. Back on. The battery all along. So if you have an issue with your car where it randomly doesn't start and then it will start, or you've got occasionally you get a warning light, ABS light comes up, or stability control comes up, they seem to be the only issues that I was having. Random, now and again, warning lights coming on. Car starts, first turn of the key, I hardly need to touch it. So in conclusion, if you've got an issue with your car, no fault codes, mechanics are a bit stumped, get your battery checked. Especially if it's more than 10 years old. Batteries are only supposed to last about 5 years, but they do last a lot longer than that now. So start with your battery. Cheers guys, car's running fine. Need to get it serviced, and I might give it a wash. See you in the next one.